to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, conceal carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Eccles.
And I'm back. It is early Sunday morning, and I am tucked away once again in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. It is just me today. It is just me. Everyone else had work and stuff come up, and it's yesterday, so we couldn't take care of it. And it's Mother's Day today. I knew that we needed to get a podcast out, so you guys are just going to have to endure the podcast with just Todd today. I hope that's okay with you. Sorry if my voice sounds a little funny. It's just it's morning voice. It's springtime. Trees are budding. Pollen is in the air. So my allergies are once again kicking in, and it takes me a little while to get up and rolling in the morning. So it's probably one reason why I don't got Facebook Live going right now. First of all, it's early in the morning. Second of all, nobody wants to see me sitting out here in my my pajamas doing the old podcasts because you can't see me, so I can do whatever the hell I want. But I don't know about you, but it was a pretty busy week for me on my end. I had 3 different private classes that went really, really well. And I worked on the range. But let me tell you a little bit about the private classes. I had one where a lady, she shoots she's right-handed, but she's got MS, and she's got some interesting disease in her, or rare disease, mind you, in her right hand, right arm, where some bones are actually dying off. So she has almost no use of her right hand. So she called me up, wanted to set up a time, and she wanted to come and learn how to shoot left-handed, solely left-handed. So she came, she brought her gun, and the gun that she had was a Smith & Wesson 380 EZ, which I guess if you're going to learn to shoot left-handed and you're not typically a left-handed person, that is the gun to shoot, man. It's perfect. It's easy to rack the slide on it. It's really easy to manipulate it. It has barely any recoil. Just a perfect gun. I can't say enough about that firearm. Just a perfect gun. And she showed up to class, and we went through a bunch of stuff, and she shot really, really well with it. And then her daughter had showed up with her, and her daughter was like 11 or 12. And she asked her mom, "Hey, can I take some? I want to shoot." And so her mom said, "Okay, yeah, just I went over all the safety with her. She'd been there the entire class, so she'd heard me go through all the safety and everything. And so we went through all that. And her daughter picked that firearm up, that little 380, and shot the heck out of it. I mean, the first 2 shots were bullseye shots. She did very, very well, and she just had a big grin on her face when she was done. I think she ended up probably shooting 20 or 30 rounds, and her mom did the same thing. And just a fantastic evening on the range. Help someone who is losing the use of their right hand, and they wanted to learn how to shoot left-handed, and they were dedicated, and they made time to take a class, come out and learn how to do it. And I think she sent me some pictures. 2 days later, they already went out to the local gravel pit range here and went shooting and went practicing. So she sent me pictures of her target and what she'd hit. And she said her daughter just had a great time. She was smiling from ear to ear the entire time she was shooting, and she said that was all she could talk about on the way home. So it feels good when I help people like that. I really enjoy it. That's what makes me love that job, love this job. Love doing Patriot Defense, helping people shoot, helping people learn how to shoot. Just fantastic evening. The other 2 classes were private classes as well, and they went off without a hitch, no problems. Very good evenings, good shooters. Made some headway, and hopefully they will. They talked about rescheduling some other classes with me, and coming back for some more with possibly some concealed carry classes at the end. They just want to get more comfortable with their firearms. We didn't do the podcast yesterday because the guys are busy. One guy was at work, and they both were at work. And I'm not going to bug them on Sunday, which is Mother's Day. The only reason that I am out here today doing a podcast is because I know we need to do one. And, it's Mother's Day, and my wife is still inside the house sleeping, and I'm going to let her sleep as long as she wants because it is Mother's Day. I do know that as soon as she gets up, we got to go to town and get a bunch of stuff for her flower beds, which is once again part of Mother's Day. So I figured if I'm going to have, and then the rest of the family's coming over in the afternoon. So I figured if I'm going to have any chance to do one, I needed to get out here early and get it done. So, I did do a bunch of work on the range, and if you're on the Patriot Defense Facebook page, you saw some videos that I posted. I was able to get a family member in here with a little mini excavator. Paid him a little bit of money, which he didn't want, which he tried to refuse. But if you come out here and do some work for me, I'm going to pay you. But he showed up with his little mini excavator, and we dug back and made the range longer, which it didn't really need to be longer. But the reason why I did that was because I needed the dirt. I wanted to build up my north-facing side of my berms. So we could shoot, and so we could spin the shooters around, and we could shoot north-facing. Right now, as we speak, the way the range is situated between my property line and a building, the first range that I dug, the first go-around, the first version of that range, I was only able to have 7 people on the shooting line at the same time. This way, I can turn them. I built up the berm a lot higher and a lot thicker, and I'm able to turn them, and I can get 12 or 10. I could probably get 12 or 13, but I'm just going to try to probably cap it at about 10. But yeah, so I'm able to get more people out there shooting. Now, he did his thing and he left, and I have to go in and kind of level it out a little bit. It's where I live. It's really difficult to dig far. Dig down very deep in certain spots. Certain areas. Unfortunately, I live not too far from the canyon, so we were able to get down, 2-3 feet, and you hit pretty much, I won't say solid rock, but really thick caliche rock, which is really hard to dig through. You start pulling up big chunks of rocks, and then you got uneven ground with big holes in it. And he did the best he could to smooth it out with what he had, and I'm gonna wheelbarrow some dirt over there and try to fix the low spots with hopes that I can get some gravel brought in and set up there and bring some more railroad ties in and make my new or build up the backstop with some new target holders and whatnot. So that's the plan. It all takes time. It all takes money. So it may take me all summer to get it done, but I will eventually I'll get it done. And then I obviously, as I mentioned before, I want to build a small structure on the end of the range, like a shooting structure, like a shooting house type thing. Not a shoot house, but like a little 3-sided building that you can stand in and you can shoot out of, stay out of the sun, stay out of the wind, stay out of the rain. Nice sheltered area to sit if it is hot or cold. Probably just kind of a metal structure, metal sided structure. I got to have someone out and give me a bid on what something like that might cost. But until then, I'm just always trying to move forward. I have a lot of classes, and at times I have months that are a lot better than others, and I try to put a lot of the money that I make through with Patriot Defense back into the business to help grow it, to help fix the range, to help buy tools and supplies and stuff for my classes. But I can't dump it all in there. I've got to have a little something. Every year that goes by, Patriot Defense costs a little more to run, a little more to manage, advertising, website stuff, and radio show and podcast equipment and podcast subscriptions and all that good stuff. Which I'm not complaining. I enjoy doing it. I sure would love to be able to dump all my money into that range and get it finished up, but it will by next year. Hopefully, I'll be putting the finishing touches on it. But anyhow, you guys did not take the time to download this podcast to listen to me talk about my business financials and where the money goes and all that kind of stuff. So we've had a lot of stuff happen over the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. Just this week alone, I mean, this last school shooting. Actually, we'll say over the last few weeks, the last two or 3 weeks, the last 2 school shootings. Interesting deal. So always sorry to, hate to hear about a school shooting, hate to hear about any of that stuff. We all do, okay? We don't get in this with the mindset we want more shootings by any means, but some interesting, turn of events happened in the last 2 school shootings. I mean, we had shooters show up at the school, which is the norm, but then we had classmates, we had people, kids, mind you, kids in the school, other students decide that enough is enough, and they had the opportunity, and they decided to, try to take control of the situation, save people, by putting themselves into risk. They ran forward and they tackled and they attacked and they fought. They fought their fellow classmate or the person who brought the firearm to the school. And they ended up dying, but they ended up saving lives and slowing him down so when law enforcement could arrive and take control and find him. But they were able to save lives in the process. And you know what? That's what we need to be teaching our kids. And I know it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black, but I've done some active shooter type stuff, okay, and I've taught some stuff to teachers. And when I was teaching some stuff to teachers, I was doing it, and I was the magnifying glass was on me. I was in the limelight. People were watching me, paying attention to what I'm doing, especially local law enforcement. And so I taught their program at the time, and I think their program at the time has changed some. I will admit that, but I taught the run, hide, and fight. So I taught the run if you can, hide if you can't run, and fight if you absolutely have to. Okay, I think that I don't know exactly how it's changed, but I think that it's something along the lines of now it's fight if you have the opportunity to fight, take the opportunity and fight back as hard as you can. Don't run by the opportunity. If the opportunity is presented, try to stop the shooter, fight, throw something at him, do something. I mean, throw a book at him, attack him, tackle him, whatever. And you know what? These kids did this. They did that. They lost their lives, but they did this, and they saved, they may have lost 1 or 2 lives, but they could have saved 12, 13, 14 other lives. These students, these kids were heroes, fantastic heroes, and their parents, I'm saddened by the loss by their friends and their families, but these students are heroes. That's exactly what they are. They saw it. They took control of it, and they said, I'm not going down like this. I'm going to go down. I'm not going down without a fight. We're gonna try and do something about this. It's really sad though that after all this time, all these school shootings have taken place over the years, that we are down to this. It's really saddened me that we have to rely now. It seems like we have to rely on these students, okay, these kids that are just there to hang out with their friends and go to school to learn, that we have to rely on them to fight back. And this isn't a dig on law enforcement. Law enforcement, the last one where the students attacked, law enforcement did fantastic. They were there within 2 minutes. They had a 2-minute response time. Absolutely fantastic. They did a great job. But the fact that we have to rely on students to do this boggles my mind. Let's come up with a solution. There's numerous solutions out there, but you know what? They don't fit into anyone's plans. Okay, bringing guns to school, arming teachers, getting rid of the no carry zones, the gun free zones. That's not on anyone's. It's not on anyone's agenda or anyone's criteria because it won't further their agenda. This last shooting, for example, after it took place, a day or two later, some people organized a vigil at the school to remember. Supposedly, it was a vigil to supposedly remember the students who died, who got shot, whatever. Okay, all the students gathered together. They're supposed to have this like remembrance vigil and be there for each other and comfort each other. And of course, the vigil was organized by some anti-gun groups, and the politicians showed up, and then they started spewing their political garbage at the kids about gun control this and gun control that, and we need and all this other nonsense. The kids had enough of it. Those people politicized. They politicized those children. They politicized those school kids. They turned it into a "I'm running for office. Come vote for me" type of thing. They tried to turn it in their favor, like they do every single time. But you know what? I'm proud of those kids. Those kids said enough is enough, and they got out. They stood up and they walked out. They stood up and they walked out of that. And then I think they eventually convinced the children or the kids to come back in, and they continued on with their actual vigil. And I don't think that any more political stuff was brought into the mix. But good for those kids. Good for those kids. And I believe that during part of that, when they were being politicized and taken advantage of, these kids who just suffered this loss, that when it was starting to be politicized, I believe that the kids, some of the kids stood up and started chanting mental health, mental health. Well, it is about mental health to a certain extent. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to go down this road here, and there might be a lot of people that don't agree with me. And I want to start this off, and I'm going to say, everyone's got a right to their beliefs. Okay, do what you want to do as long as it doesn't bother me. I really don't care. That's where my libertarian views are at. It doesn't matter to me. But you know what? These school shootings, this is going to irritate a lot of people, and I don't really quite know where to begin. But these school shootings, they have been created by the left. The left is behind these school shootings. Now, I'm not saying that they're planting shooters in there, because they're not doing that. They're not organizing it, sending them in to do this and that. But you know what? They created this. Whether they knew they created it or not, I have no idea. But if you look, why these kids, these people, these school shooters, these madmen that go into these schools with firearms and shoot the places up, these madmen that go into mosques and churches and malls and shoot these places up, they all have one thing in common. They are all kind of mentally disturbed, typically. They might be on some kind of medication for it. And they're usually all Democratic left-wing nutbags. I mean, far, far left nutbags. And I know there's a lot of Democrats. I know there's a lot of left-leaning people that like firearms and are responsible with them and stuff like that. But just like I am, I consider myself a right-leaning libertarian. You go too far right, and you're going to come across some anarchist type nut jobs. Okay, and that's what you're going to end up getting on the left. You're going to get far enough over there, and you're going to find some left-leaning liberal, nut jobs. So they're out there, but here's the thing: they've attacked the family, they've broken apart the family, they put people on welfare, they make it easy for people to live off the state, live off the government, live in poverty, and be okay with it. They have convinced us that there's 68 different genders out there. So now everyone's gender confused. They don't know what bathroom to use. They don't have a mommy. Maybe they don't have a daddy. All this stuff. They're messed up in the head. All this left-leaning liberalized bullcrap that is out there has screwed up these people in the head. And they go in and they start shooting people. They go into schools and they shoot people. You don't believe in what I believe in, so I'm gonna come in and shoot you. Or you're mentally disturbed, or they put you on this medication because you're depressed, you're confused. I mean, look at the generation of kids out there. Look at them. They're living, there's not all of them, but there's a good portion of them. They're in their 20s, maybe pushing 30. They're still living in mommy and daddy's basements. And that's on the right side and the left side. They've got this entitlement, this entitled attitude. They have this entitled attitude where they think everything needs to be given them. And, oh my gosh, if I've got to work more than 30 hours a week, I'm overworked. I need a break, and I need my safe base, and I need to take a mental health day, and you're overworking me, and don't talk mean to me, and don't tell me no, and they're not paying anything but their cell phone and maybe a car bill, and they're Superman on the internet. They're Superman, they're untouchable on the interwebs. They can say what they want, do what they want. Just, my gosh, we have created this. I'm going to say the left and the right. We have created this. We have allowed this to happen. And then this is what you end up with. And then we scratch our heads and go, why is this happening? Why is this happening? You broke down the family. You screwed with the kids. They're all a bunch of mindless idiots doing what they're told, doing what they feel they want to do, and they get away with it. Every day I see kids, I see articles of people who are raping children, are molesting kids, and you know what? They aren't even going to jail. They're getting off on freaking probation, yet you want to throw a handful of people that smoked a couple marijuana joints into jail for how long? I mean, this is totally backwards. And be honest with you, I think that this is, over time, this has been engineered. This has been engineered over time. And they're at the point where they want. They want to take our firearms. And if they can rile everyone up and get the crazies to come out of the freaking woodwork and do this, and woe was me, I was depressed, so I took a gun to my workplace and started shooting people up. I was depressed, so I took a gun to school. The teacher gave me bad grades, so I took a gun to school and I started shooting the place up. That's what they want. They want that. They want to be able to take our firearms. They want to come in and politicize, set up these so-called vigils and politicize them and get on the news and say, we need to keep guns out of school. This is why we don't need more firearms. We don't need more firearms because little Billy brought his firearm to school and shot everyone up. That's why we don't need more. No, I need a firearm to stop little Billy from showing up. And, when he does show up with a firearm to school, to stop him from shooting up the school. Okay? This is what they want. They want our firearms. They want to do this. I do a radio show. And on the radio show, we get a bunch of interesting callers. And we have repeat callers, and they usually spout the same thing, and that's fine. We kind of know who they are, and when they call, we kind of... we listen to the audio, but we mute our microphones so we can chuckle a little bit and decide while they're talking how we're going to not attack them, but respond to them. Sometimes it's kind of attacking. But on Friday, we were talking about these school shootings. And this guy called up and goes, you know what the answer is? The answer is we need to stick these military guys in school. We need to stick these military vets in school. They'll be in there with the firearms, and they don't miss. They don't miss, and they'll take out the threat, and they'll save the schools, and everyone will have a little party and all this stuff. You know what? That's the biggest load of horse shit I've ever heard. Okay? First of all, if you're in this isn't a rant against the military. It's not a rant against law enforcement. They do good, and I appreciate and respect their services and what they've done for me. That's fantastic. But you know what? First of all, under stress, under pressure, everyone's going to miss. So don't be building up the military in that fashion. They're going to miss. That's just the way it is. That's science. That's all. So my response to him, and it kind of got me fired up, is so I should go ahead and throw the military guys in the school and just be safe. So my response to him was, you know what? Screw you, buddy. You're telling me that I should put 100% of my faith into military, into law enforcement, have them in the schools to stop a threat. I should take my personal protection and the personal protection of my children, and I should place it solely 100% in the hands of military and the hands of police and say, protect them, protect me, protect us. Here, you do all the protecting. You protect us. That's the biggest bunch of horse crap I've ever heard in my life. I'm not going to hand over the government, everything to the government. I'm not handing over the protection of my kids to the government, the protection of myself to the government. I'm not, I'm waiting in line at the government trough. eat what they give me and say, more please, put more food in there. I want to come to you for my food. I want to come to you for my paycheck. I want to come to you for my health care. I want to come to you for my church beliefs. I want to come to you for my personal protection of myself and my children. Yeah, I don't think so. It gets to that point, and in fact, I've already thought about it. It gets to that point, I pull my kids out of school. We do the whole homeschooling thing, and there's no way I'm handing that much responsibility of my life, over to the government, the state government, whatever. I'm just not doing it. And if I hear one more person say, oh, God help me, if I hear one more person say, oh, get a veteran, have him stand outside of the school with a freaking firearm, he'll do the job, I'm going to lose my freaking mind. I'm going to lose my mind. If he can have a gun in school, I can have a gun in the school. The teachers can have a gun in the schools. The answer is simple. Arm the teachers, arm the parents, create something, set up something. There's got to be firearms in that school. We also had another whack job calling to the radio show from locally here, and he said that he had some weapon that him and his buddy in the law enforcement, they were trying to get a patent for, and he wouldn't tell us what the weapon was, and it was nothing but a try to sell us on this weapon call, and just a bunch of horse shit. The answer is there. We don't need to come up with anything. These guys don't go into places where people are armed and possibly have guns and attack. You hear the attacks on schools, on hospitals, on churches, places where people don't normally carry firearms. You know what? There's no gun there. That's why they go there. They don't go to the gun show. They don't go to the gun store. They do go to malls and stuff every now and then, but you know what? Not very often, because when they do, guess what? Someone with a gun stops them. And to be honest with you, when they do go into freaking schools, guess what? School calls law enforcement. Law enforcement shows up. Someone with a gun stops them. So in 100% of the cases, somebody with a gun stops another guy with a gun. That's the way it works. So the missing link is the parents, the teachers. Why aren't they armed? They are the first responders. They are the ones that are there. Why don't they have the firearms? What is so freaking difficult about arming teachers, about arming parents, and about allowing concealed carry on the schools? What's going to freaking happen? I'm not saying to require it. I'm saying let it happen. Let it be a right to work thing, okay? Excuse me, a right to care, not a right to work. A right to carry thing. If you're a teacher and you carry in your off time, in your personal time, let them carry at school. And do I think we should pay them extra? Hell no. You pay them extra, you're going to get some moron who wants to do it for the carry a gun because he's going to get an extra $50 every freaking paycheck, and he's going to be sloppy with it. It's not going to conceal carry it like he's supposed to. The kids are going to know he has it. He's going to leave it on the chair. He's going to leave it on the desk and like a moron, and someone's going to get their hands on it. That's the way that's good. So you want responsible people that already do it to be able to carry at schools. That's the way it should work. That, my friend, is the only solution at this point. If you want to be proactive about it and go look at it on the defensive end, that is the solution. And then you could look into mental health. Then you can look into what is screwing our kids up in the brain, okay? And you can fix that. You can find out what, the left spewing this liberalized propaganda crap into their freaking brains, and you can fix that. You can fix that. But until then, we have to arm our teachers and arm our school staff if they want to be. We have to get rid of the gun-free zones. Gun-free zones are nothing but state and federally mandated killing fields. That's all they are. That's all they are. I mean, those kids. This last shooting, the kid walked in there. He brought a gun in a guitar case and started shooting the place up. It's a killing field. If someone hadn't tackled him, he would have killed so many more students, and kids would have died. So interesting thing that happened on Thursday. Friday, the local area where I live here in Idaho. We have a few of them, but one of the local high schools, the biggest local high school, I believe. the night before, someone talked about a threat on social media, a shooting threat, and they brought it to the attention of law enforcement. Local law enforcement went over to the girl's house or the person's house who reported it, looked at her computer, and anyhow, they figured it was a pretty credible threat. And but they went ahead and let the students go to school anyhow the next day, and they had only been in school like 10 or 15 minutes, and then they were releasing the students because you know what they found? They found 3 kids. One of the kids turned themselves in because he was feeling guilty or bad or scared. I'm not sure how it worked. The other 2 kids were actually found at school. In fact, have some family members that go to school there, and they were actually in that classroom, and they didn't take them out. They didn't start shooting anyone. They hadn't even started attacking. They brought firearms to school. That's locally. That hit pretty close to home. Okay, I'm used to there's a shooting on the other side of the country, and then the next day someone calls in some stupid threat to our schools because they don't want to be in school that day. I'm used to that. Kind of thought that's what this was going to be. And from what I heard, they actually found weapons at the school, and they apprehended the students, the kids that were involved in this, and nothing bad happened. They were able to ward it off. But my gosh, it's starting to hit close to home. And I'm hoping that every school has some kind of contingency plan. Okay. I was talking to someone who works at not that school, but works at one of the local public schools here, and this person has worked at the school for the last 2 or 3 years, and they told me that they have not once, and it's a pretty big high school, pretty major high school in this town, they have not once had a active shooter training drill. They have not once with the students, with the staff, anything like that. Law enforcement has not once come into that school and had a meeting. The superintendent, they have not set up a meeting with staff or anything like that saying, this is what we'd like to see, this is what's going to happen, this is what it's going to be like if we have an active shooter. This is where we want the students to go. This is where we're going to come in at whatever. This is who you're going to call. This is how it's going to go down. Nobody has communicated a damn thing about what's going to happen, what should happen, what the people need to expect. Okay, I think law enforcement needs to come in. They need to say, we can't give you an exact idea of exactly what's going to happen, but this is what you can expect. This is what you as teachers need to do. This is what is expected of you. This is what you need to do with your kids. They haven't sat down with the kids and said, this is what's going to happen if we do this. You need to listen to your teachers. This is what the plan is going to be. Law enforcement hasn't come in and said, hey, look, if we come through this building because there's an active shooter in here and we stumble across people that have been shot and are laying on the floor, don't be surprised when we walk by you because we need to neutralize the threat first, and then we will come back for you. No one's even broached that top. No one's brought that subject up, brought that meeting up. Nothing. How can you have a public school nowadays and not have anything in place like that? My gosh, I feel like I need to get out and do something. And I'm not saying I'm better than law enforcement by any means, because they're going to be the ones going in, not me. But you know what? I could get out there. I could give folks a fair idea of what was going down, of what would happen, what could happen, maybe what to expect. Local law enforcement is failing at their job. They've dropped the ball on this. I'm not saying they're bad, but they dropped the ball on this. The school administrators, I'm going to blame them too. They dropped the ball on this. Get it together. School's going to be out in a week and a half. Guess what? You have all summer to put this shit together. Put it together. Get something in our schools. Figure out what's going on. And hopefully, maybe next year, we can usher in concealed carry to our schools. But at the very least, there needs to be a plan in place, and everybody needs to know the plan. From the secretary to the custodian to the teacher to the guy that mows the freaking grass. Everybody there needs to know what the plan is. They need to be updated. They need to have meetings. They need to know what to do and what to expect. That is just asinine. But you know what? It's our public schools, and so what are you going to expect? I probably should have learned a long time ago not to expect much more. So it fires me up. It makes me, to be honest with you, because there is a federal blanket law in the state of Idaho that covers K through 12 schools that says that you cannot carry concealed on the campus, but that can be determined and fixed and replaced separately by the school board. The local school board for that school can put something together. They can write in their own criteria, and they write it into their bylaws. And once they write it into their bylaws, it's good to go. I mean, that'll supersede that federal blanket law, and they can allow carry there however they want to do it. And I've stated this over and over again on the podcast. I've stated it over and over again on the radio show. I've talked about it on Facebook and all that stuff. People still don't know that. They still don't get that. Here's the thing. Everyone's, even the parents and everybody are so freaking fired up. Everyone is so fired up about this. We got to do something. We got to get guns in school. We got to get teachers to carry. You know what? You calling into a radio show, my radio show, it's a good radio show to listen to, and I enjoy taking your call. You calling in to me, to my radio show, and ranting about this, we got to do something. We got to do something. You know what? That ain't going to freaking fix the problem. You can call into the radio show and talk about it, but then when you hang up that phone, you need to put your boots to the ground, your nose to the grindstone. You need to freaking figure out how to get it done. You need to become I won't say politically active, but maybe if you choose to go that route, or at the very least, go to a school board meeting. Find a group of parents that have kids that go to that school that feel the exact same way, and get them together and present your case to the school board. Get it figured out. Put it together, present your case, get it changed. You can affect change. Get it changed, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. You belly aching and going on and on and on and ranting on Facebook and ranting on when you call into my radio show is not going to get it done. I've tried to do this at a few of my kids' schools, and you know what? It's tough. It's not the easiest thing to do. And I was really close at one of the schools. I couldn't get the parent involvement, and when you can't get the parent involvement, it's a little harder to state your case. Okay, we had all kinds of people come out of the woodwork telling us how if you carried a gun into school, they'd be shaking and crying and hiding in a closet, and they wouldn't be able to come out of their freaking bedroom for weeks on end because the guns were just too scary. But I had a hard time rounding up parents that agreed, and that's going to happen. But you know what? You got to start somewhere. You got to start your case somewhere. You've got to change hearts, change minds, state your case, and make a good case, and get people on your side. It's rough, it's not the easiest thing to do, but you're going to have to do it if you want this kind of change. Since then, that was a private school, and we moved, and so my kids no longer attend that school. But you know what? They have kind of seen the light a little bit. And in the local valley, they have that school actually has one person that does carry now on campus, and that is fantastic. Okay, it's not perfect, but you know what? It's a step in the right direction. Someone is in that school all the time. They won't say who it is. I mean, I have an idea. They won't say who it is, but someone is in that school all the time with a firearm, okay, that works there. They have a firearm on them. You know what? That's a step way ahead of any of the other schools, any of the other surrounding schools, okay? They're on their game. They know that evil exists, that it is out there, that it could happen, and you know what? They're being proactive. And they've had this going on the entire year. This is the first year that they've had this where someone has carried a gun at school. Guess what? A student hasn't found it, and bad things haven't happened. This teacher was responsible with it. So the case isn't there that bad stuff will happen. The case is not there. I've never heard, and I guarantee you, if there's a district that allows firearms in the school, And if the students were to get the firearm and bad things were to happen, if the teacher was to be irresponsible with it and bad things were to happen with it during school, guess what? We'd hear that on the freaking news. That would be on the news. That would be front page headline on absolutely everything. Social media, newspaper, news on TV, you name it, that would make the headlines. It hasn't happened. But you know what does make the headlines? School shootings. School shootings make the headlines. And I know we're all fed up with it, but the answer is there. They don't want it. They like the school shootings. They like the school shootings because they can come in, they can politicize it, and they can try to take your firearms. They can try our firearms. They can try to get votes. Honestly, the answer is there's numerous answers, and they're all simple and they're all laid out in front of them, and they just don't take them. And they don't take them because they don't want to take them. I honestly they don't care about our children. Our politicians are rounding our children up. They're putting them in gun-free zones. They're putting them in a fish tank. Gun-free zones, killing fields, knowing that there's no protection there for our kids. None whatsoever. No protection, none whatsoever. They are defenseless. They do this, and it's required that your kids go to school. It's typically, I think it's I'd have to look, so I may be speaking out my butt here, but it's a freaking law. Your kids got to attend school of some kind. So they've just mandated that your kids are going to go for three quarters of the year, every year, from the time they enter kindergarten, so K through 12, your kids are required by law, unless you homeschool, are required by law to go and spend, 8 hours a day for 3/4 of the year in this defenseless fishbowl, okay? This gun-free zone where they're just sitting ducks and they just kind of wait for something like this to happen. The government is mandating that they do this. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, anyhow, I think my rant might be over for the day. I got that off my chest, and I can go and enjoy. I can enjoy another Mother's Day. So let me grab something here really quick. It's just me here, so I can't have anyone hand me anything. So give me just a second. Okay, we will end like this. So, if you like the podcast, we appreciate it. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Hit subscribe, listen to all the episodes. I know the beginning episodes get kind of dry sometimes, and they kind of get better as they go on. We do have a podcast hotline that you can call in a question, say hi, a self-defense story we like. Now, you can't call in and talk to us live. You have to leave a message, and then we will replay that on the podcast. That number is 1-208-696-4397. You can email us at patriotdefense13@yahoo.com. You can go to the website if you want. That's patriotdefense13.com. Visit us there. There's a contact button there as well. You can also look on there at all the classes I do. I used to sell T-shirts on there, but that didn't go well, so I pulled them off, and now I got a big box of shirts sitting in my office with, they aren't going anywhere. I might give them away or something. Haven't decided. But get a hold of us there. If you want to call me, if you want to text me, you can do so at area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. Go ahead and shoot me a text. I'll talk to anyone. People shoot me text messages asking about my classes, or just, I listen to the podcast, thanks for the show. And just, anyhow, I got a couple people on there that I've just put on there in my contacts, and I talk to them on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis. You're more than welcome to contact me there. But until then, I will say that this next weekend, I will be gone. I would have my last 50K of at least the summer until fall. I'll be running in Bryce Canyon, so I'll be running like 31 miles up Bryce Canyon. So I'll be gone for like 3 or 4 days for that. But I'm going to try to release an episode middle of the week, probably about Wednesday, Thursday, to kind of tide you through the weekend. And I'm sorry I couldn't get the crew together today. We just all have lives. It's getting nice out. We're getting busy. This month is full of holidays and whatnot. So we will get everyone back together soon, I promise. I sure hope this podcast that I just went solo on for it looks like about 45 minutes didn't scare anyone. Trust me, they're better when everyone else is here. Every now and then you got to put up with the not so fun ones, and that's the ones with me in it. So anyhow, I better get inside. I got to get to town. I got to go buy some flowers, some pots, and get some Mother's Day festivities underway. So I'll tell you what, go spend time with your family. Go spend time with your mom, your wife, the mother of your children, whatever. Happy Mother's Day to you, and I will see you guys midweek. Thank you. Bye.